All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer where we are going to unlock what I love to call the secret code of the English language. So when you look at a massive, incredibly intimidating word and your brain just kind of glosses right over it? Well, what if I told you that you don't actually need to memorize the dictionary to have an absolutely killer vocabulary? Seriously, you just need to understand the roots. Today, we're going to effortlessly decode some really complex terminology using the literal science of etymology. Grab a seat because the way you look at words is about to change forever. Our whole journey today is anchored in Norman Lewis's legendary handbook, Word Power Made Easy. Now, this is not just your average boring vocabulary book, it is a linguistic roadmap. And for this explainer, we are zeroing in entirely on session 8 of the text. In this specific session, Lewis shows us exactly how one single ancient root can just explode into a massive tree of powerful, highly descriptive words all about the human mind. By the time we wrap up here, you're going to master this entire family of transformative words. And the best part? No rote memorization required. It's all just pure logic. Now, the core philosophy of Lewis's method is super straightforward. He literally commands us, and I quote, "Don't read this book. Instead, work with it." He is huge on the idea that real learning only happens through active participation. So I have a tiny favor to ask you. As we go through these concepts, I want you to literally say these new words out loud with me. Yes, physically out loud. Saying them forces your brain to build brand new neural pathways. We are not just passively consuming information today, we're actively rewiring our brains for better recall. Okay, to kick off our little etymological investigation, let me throw a linguistic mystery your way. What do a psychologist, a psychopath, and a psychosomatic illness all have in common? I mean, on the surface, you've got a scientist, a dangerously disturbed person, and a physical ailment. They seem completely, totally unrelated, right? But the answer is actually hiding in plain sight, right there at the beginning of each word. We're going to build a word tree right now to solve this exact mystery. And here is the answer. The whole thing starts with the seed of our word tree. It's the ancient Greek root psyche, which translates to spirit, soul, or mind. What's really interesting is that we also use psyche as a standalone English noun today, just to describe someone's inner or mental life or their self-image. Every single word we're going to tear apart today grows directly out of this one fundamental concept of the human mind. So the real magic happens when we combine psyche with other roots to build entirely new meanings. It's basically word math. Let's graft psyche with the Greek root logos, which means science or study. Smash them together and you get a psychologist, right? Someone who studies the mind and human behavior. Now let's swap the ending. If we take psyche and add iatria, which means medical healing, well, that gives us a psychiatrist. This is such a brilliant way to illustrate the difference between the two fields. A psychologist is a scientist who studies your behavior, while a psychiatrist is a doctor who medically treats your mind. The roots literally spell out their job descriptions. Let's keep building on this. We already know psyche is the mind. Now let's introduce the Greek root soma, meaning body. When we graph these two together, we get the word psychosomatic. This adjective beautifully, and I mean quite literally, describes the interaction between the mind and the body. So when someone suffers from a psychosomatic illness, their physical symptoms, the stuff happening in their soma, are actually sparked by emotional or mental distress in their psyche. It's a physical reaction with a mental trigger. Two ancient words perfectly explaining a complex condition. Let's try another combination. What if an ailment doesn't just affect the body, but is born entirely within your emotions? We take psyche, and this time we add the root genesis. You probably recognize that one, right? Genesis means origin or birth. Put them together and you have psychogenic. An illness or a condition that is psychogenic originates strictly in the mind. Do you see how the arithmetic of these words works? You take mind plus origin and boom, the vocabulary essentially defines itself for you. Okay, we're going to take a slight turn here into the darker side of the human mind. I want you to imagine a personality type that is entirely lacking in a social conscience, completely missing that inner moral sensor we all usually have. We're talking about a personality operating utterly without guilt, without remorse, and without the standard moral restraints of society. It's a severe, very dangerous mental disturbance that results in highly antisocial behavior. So how does our root word categorize something like this? Well, here is where we combine our base root with the Greek word pathos. Pathos means suffering or disease. So psyche plus pathos equals psychopath. Etymologically speaking, this is a person with a diseased mind. According to Norman Lewis's breakdown in Session 8, a psychopath suffers from a severe mental disturbance that frequently leads them to commit unconscionable, antisocial acts without even a second thought. That root pathos gives the word its deeply troubled clinical weight. Say it out loud with me, psychopath. But look, just as our root word can describe a diseased mind, it also anchors the vocabulary we use for healing it. First, we have psychotherapy. That's your broad, general term for any kind of psychological treatment designed to cure emotional disorders. But right next to it, we have psychoanalysis. Now, this is a much more specific term. Psychoanalysis refers strictly to the treatment techniques developed by Sigmund Freud, the ones that involve delving deep into the unconscious mind. Two totally different approaches to healing, but they both start with that exact same essential seed, psyche.
And the thing is, our root doesn't just live in clinical or medical settings either. It is hiding in plain sight in everyday language. Take the word psychic. We hear this one all the time. Literally, it just means pertaining to the mind. But in common, everyday usage, it refers to phenomena, communication, or perception that is extrasensory. That means it happens entirely within the mind, completely bypassing our ordinary physical senses.
All right, it is time for some of that active participation Lewis was talking about. Let's test those brand new neural pathways we just built. I'm going to read a definition, and I want you to shout out the correct word before I reveal the answer. You ready? First up, what word means originating in the mind? Next, what describes the interaction of the mind and body? Third one, what is the science or study of human behavior? Fourth, what do we call an antisocial person lacking a moral sensor? And finally, what word describes extrasensory phenomena? Okay, let's see how you did. The answers are psychogenic, psychosomatic, psychology, psychopath, and psychic. Did you get them? I bet you did. And honestly, here is the most amazing thing about this. You just mastered a complex list of medical and psychological terminology in a matter of minutes. You didn't stare at a flashcard for hours on end. You just learned the logical building blocks. You cracked the code.
So I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. What other ancient Greek and Latin roots are hiding in plain sight within your everyday vocabulary, just waiting for you to decode them? Because once you start looking at language this way, not as a boring list to memorize, but as a giant puzzle to solve, your ability to learn and express yourself becomes absolutely limitless. Thank you so much for actively participating in this explainer today, and remember, keep looking for the roots in everything you read.